How's it going, New Media Technology? I'm Jonathan Tebow, and I am here with
Darren Martin.
So tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, I am a senior English major from Columbia, South Carolina. I love everything that has to do with creation, so I am a published journalist. I work in digital media. I work in digital marketing and kind of intersection of digital media and marketing. So social media marketing, what I call mass storytelling, really. So writing, video work, everything basically. How do you get a company's story out there? Which is the same thing in journalism.
Perfect. So you mentioned you're a published journalist. You mentioned new media, all these stories.
Right.
So take us through the process that you go in creating these major stories.
Okay. The process. Well, it's depending because MT runs on the Maroon Tiger. It runs on a schedule. So when you're in that space, like creativity can be stunted because like you have a time frame. But usually it doesn't really bother us because it's always something. Like I could look at you and come up with a story,
Exactly.
right? I could look at the new Office. I could look at the new TV. Like, what does this mean for Morehouse? What does that mean for Morehouse to get it done? What do you mean for Morehouse to be graduating in
Exactly.
4 years? So it's all about like finding a story within any animate or inanimate character and telling their stories.
How do you know when you have that big story or the one? How do you know when you're finished with that story and it's good?
You're done. Interestingly enough, I don't read my final works after they're done. I don't even edit them.
Wow.
Yeah, I edit them probably like a day or two after I finish reading or writing because actually Albert Turner, who was my freshman English composition professor, always told me, it's something that I still do today, I try to at least leave 24 hours for your paper to sit. Because once you get into this creative direction, it's like, oh, bam, I got it, I'm good, this. It's academics versus in journalism in itself. Because you're attached to what you're trying to tell your professor or tell your readers. But sometimes a lot of that can get jumbled in. Sometimes a lot of that could be spaced out. So it's good to honestly give yourself some time to let it rest, let it breathe. But I prepare for that way, and just in that way. You asked, how do I prepare for it, though? How do I get it done?
Like, how do you know when it's done? Like,
how do I know when it's done? You just know. You're tired of it. It's there. You're ready to get it out, but it's like one of those things where this is a bad analogy, but I've had my baby. Like I've literally conceived this idea. I've nurtured it. I've let it grow, and I've had it. So it's the idea of, can the world see this baby that I've created for me? So I know I'm done with the project once I'm tired of it. And I mean tired of it as in I'm tired of planning it. I'm tired of rewriting. I'm tired of producing. I'm tired of doing everything. I'm tired of editing it. And once we get to that point, I know it's ready for distribution.
So you have these different babies. You have all this color. Which baby do you like more? Like, what topic, which genre of writing do you prefer? Is there any area that you like over others? You know, a little bit more difficulty?
I am a better features writer. I know that. Hands down.
Now,
I'm a better features writer. So
explain that.
Features writers are anything that has to do with going deep inside of literally deep inside of a person's life, an event that happened in their life, or an event that shaped their life. All of those are the same, but you really could tackle them in different perspectives. And then also, it's a longer form of writing. You're starting from A to B. So, for example, I did the President Wilson's inauguration type of feature. That's an old feature that I've done, but I started when he was a child up until when he was a president versus when he became a president. But I could have started when he was a president because remember, he was going through some hell.
Exactly.
Like he was going through a lot of stuff. So it's just all those perspectives. And I like starting from here to here because I don't want my reader to like think about anything. Any holes that I know that the reader might have, I try to fill them. And that's bad as well. But I'm a features writer. I've started going into sports. But I don't like sports that much to be writing on them, but I still write on them.
You mentioned panning out your story and going from that beginning to end and going deeper. Do you feel like that gets rid of a bias in your writing? Do you feel like that allows the story to truly be on the actual person that you're
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the worst things as a journalist, and I mean, you have biased news outlets, right? One of the worst things as a journalist that I would want to do is to not give you a full perspective, even if I have an objective view, or a subjective view on the case. Um, like writing President Wilson, a few weeks later or a few months later, we were in battle with each other. Like, he really did not like me because of what the Maroon Tiger was doing, which was pushing him. But I think it just comes down to respect. So I was not going to tell his story because he had chastised me or we had some business type of deal. So I try to be holistic. Like I said, that presents a problem too sometimes because one time when you don't have but 600 words, you really have to be succinct in your writing. Yeah, so I would like to get a whole perspective because I wouldn't want anyone to tell my story not knowing an entire perspective of my life. But that's also, it takes time to do that as well. So I'm hoping as I progress that I get that time to sit down and really flesh through.
Perfect. So you mentioned, working for MT. So tell us about your title with MT and some of the positions that you've had outside of MT.
Okay, cool. So I serve as the editor-in-chief. This is my second year as the editor-in-chief of the Maroon Tiger, which is now the Maroon Tiger Student Media Group. And a little bit about my role, which is different this year because I came in a year where we were in, honestly, a do-or-die situation. MT's brand was either it fails or it's time to renegotiate and refigure where we are. And in order for me, when I came in, my entire goal from last year to this year is in order for us to be competitive, not only in a collegiate arena, but also a national arena, is that we start to act like we are a media group, is that we start to act like we know how to do more than newspaper writing. Because honestly, engagement and reach is not newspapers anymore.
Yes.
So we had to boost our digital efforts. Now digital readership has increased 1,000%. But that's only because people were yearning to read online. They didn't want to pick up a big 12-page broadsheet.
Exactly.
We decreased the size of the newspaper. We increased the size of the pages, but decreased the size of, you handling it. Increased Tiger TV, which is a battle still. I'm not even going to lie, it's a battle still. And I'm hoping new media technology people join Tiger TV because we really do need it. But it's produced more than it has produced since its inception in 2009. So a lot of what I've done in my last 2 years is not new. Project Y-Axis, which will be a project we'll be releasing in a few weeks, is new. But Tiger TV is not new. The structure of MT is not new. The way we've done it is new. The way we try to take our perspectives of this is not just a student organization, but we really have to run it as a business because that's how we are in the industry. Unfortunately, it's just like for SGA. They have to have elections. They have to do public speaking. They have to do advocacy because that's what they're practicing. Yes. We practice in the public. So you just have to run like you are running. And that actually has helped with advertising and the way that we look at our business processes and stuff like that. So we did instead of died, which is good. In these 2 years, we've done a really tremendous job of just brand recognition and engagement. We can put MT anywhere with people knowing the Maroon Tiger, which for me is the best thing that I've done. But honestly, that's a team effort as well. I haven't done any of this on my own. It's always been a team, so I've always learned how to work with a team. But yeah, that's what I do for MT. Put out fires and make sure everything's going well. But then professionally, I used what I learned with MT and just my personal interest to create Streamlined Communications, which is a full-service marketing and advertising firm for small businesses in underrepresented areas. So I have an account, which is Davis and Dingle Family Dentistry, which is a medium-sized business in Columbia, South Carolina, but is a multi-million-dollar business by itself, owned by 2 Black men who have been helping me since I was 15 years old and just having a job. They actually told me, look, I was their new media director, and they said, look, we're going to have to take you off payroll. So they really started my business because I switched from payroll to consultation, which means that I had to start paying taxes and all that legal stuff really pushed me to just make my business and just really just throw it out there. And I've received some really great clients. The entire mission with Streamline is to be a MT professionally, but for smaller businesses. We have minority-owned businesses that are hurting in the digital realm, and they're losing sales and they're losing leads because the way marketing is doing it, now, it has to be integrated. And when you're a small business, you have a practice administrator, you might have all of these things, but do you have a marketing department that's ready to do everything it takes for engagement? Probably not. And so that puts them at a disadvantage already. I say minority-owned businesses. We don't only do minority-owned businesses, but my focus is on minority-owned businesses because I've seen the ramifications for not having that access. And so what I've learned in New York, if I do go to New York and still work, what I learn will be directly have a direct effect on the business and hopefully on the businesses that we kind of
definitely. Now, tell us a little bit about some of the setbacks or the challenges that you faced within the journalism world, within the new media world. Just kind of some of the setbacks or challenges that you faced.
I think one of the challenges is you always come to this idea that maybe I'm not enough. Media is ever evolving. It's an ever-changing ecosystem. And so you always have to stay up. You always have to stay abreast. And I've always hoped to be there, and I've always known about even new media, even filming, even lighting. But I've always had a struggle with, am I good enough? That's a relative struggle as well. I know I'm good enough for certain areas, and I'm not as good in other areas, but it's something that has motivated me to just learn. Technology is something that I'm interested in. Me bridging technology and media together is anything but what I was doing when I was a child. Interestingly enough, I had to place myself in an area sophomore year where I was in SGA and I was doing all politics. I had finished their constitution. I was ready to go for VP, and then I made a conscientious decision to never do anything. Another internship, another, side job that does not have anything to do with media or technology. I cut off that. What I've learned, and I cut it off, and then I started to grow in that area because I knew that I'm so segmented in so many different things. I like my hands in so many different areas, but I knew that if media was my number one thing, if I loved the Darren Martin show, which I had to give up once I started MT, if I love the Darren Martin show so much, I will, and this is the time where I was looking for VP, MT, or Darren Martin show. It was, if I didn't get MT, I wasn't going back to SGA. It was going to be the Darren Martin show.
Exactly.
I'm wondering what that would have came to, what I would have learned. But I stepped out there and said, look, if I don't get the Maroon Tiger as editor-in-chief, I might not have. I was a sophomore. I'm going to step into my authenticity in doing what I love doing. And that came at a cost, but it was a great cost, and it was a great benefit as well. So that's a challenge because a lot of people are in that area. Yes. A lot of people are in the area where it's time to make the decision. And it's hard because you're in an area where it's like, all right, media is here, and it's large. Yes. And a lot of people want to do media because they think it's easy. What differentiates, and I understand that, a lot of people think it's easy. What differentiates someone, what I've seen so far, is that you just can't replicate the drive and hunger it takes to produce media. You can't replicate the drive that it takes to want to get a story and want to look at something in a different perspective, and want to create. Like, that yearning is embedded within your existence, and I don't really think that you can train yourself to do it, but it's not going to be authentic, right? Exactly. And so I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Business still, yes, but I wanted to bridge business to media.
Definitely.
Interior design, even like doing the new Maroon Tiger office, helping with the Kilgore redesign. That's interior design. Yes, that might not be media, but it took creativity to get it there. It took designs to get it there. It took a vision to get it there.
Yes.
And so I'm in this quest, in a continual quest, to align my personal goals and my personal interests with my professional goals and professional interests. and they've come at a tremendous cost, but also a tremendous advantage. I've lost friends. I've stopped talking to family members. So not just that, because when you get your folks, like I have a very bad tunnel vision, and so I'm trying to widen that tunnel, not get rid of the tunnel at all. I'm trying to widen it so I can continue to create relationships and maintain relationships that I hold dear to my heart. But I understand the one reason and the one thing is this is for me, and that's another thing. This is for me, and I cannot not do my job or not do what I love because it might affect someone else. Definitely. Because I might not talk to them. Because if they don't know how to disconnect that and still know that I'm here and I'm there, I'm here and I love you, but I have to get here. I have to be hungry because there's 20,000 people right next to me hungrier. Like, yes. I have to be hungry. I had to get to the point of realizing that some people just won't be in your life because of that hungriness. And I just started working towards that.
Perfect. Now, to end, where do you want to go in the future? Like, what's next for Darren Martin?
In the immediate future, hoping to work in advertising technology spaces, tech startup spaces. Very interested in the difference of startup and corporate environments. I don't see myself being a corporate person yet, unless I'm in a larger role where I can create some type of vision and change. And that's largely like, I don't know, that could be narcissistic and could be driven, right? Yep. Like, but I know what I can bring to the table, and I'd rather do my own before I let someone else kind of like take my creativity and take my agency. And that's what I think corporations do in a larger sense. Not that I don't want to work at a corporation, but startups allow you to collaborate. They allow you to look at things, and they change. Yes. They change like this, and I'm just so used to that. And so, like you said, what you learn is you learn your learning styles, and you learn the companies in which your personal life connects with. And so, what's next is bridging myself with startups, learning the investment phases, learning not more so how to get investments, but getting connected, because that's how investments happen. Being connected, being on top of my stuff. So Darren Martin in the next 2 to 3 years will be going through an intense professional development not program, but just like self-professional development program in hopes to get an MBA in the next 3 to 4 years. And, continue my business, get investments for my business, either do that long term or do it until I get tired of it and do something else. I'm one of those people who likes different projects. So
definitely, I feel it.
If I'm in the same position, I get real jittery and it's not good.
Definitely. Well, good luck to you and all of that. This is Jonathan Tebow with New Media Technology under the direction of Omar Harbison.
Thank you. Hey, Mr. Harbison.